I'm Arkansas Storm Team Meteorologist Jenna Warner here with Fox 16 Chief Meteorologist Joel Young. And Tuesday, it's cold. We're just getting over a winter weather system yesterday where some of us saw winter weather in the state, some of us didn't.
Yeah.
Those of us that didn't were happy about it.
Yes. And I feel like those who didn't were happy about it. I feel like there's some people, though, that weren't happy about it.
I've definitely had a few people upset with me
that just kind of always
on social media, but I think that happens in every single thing that we're forecasting, period.
We talk about it and people expect it to be something. I hope we didn't I don't want to communicate that we ever expected it to be anything over what it was. I think, an advisory was warranted and, there was no warning necessary. It was not a winter storm. In fact, at one point I almost, when I do the storm timing, or I'll show I'll just share the graph and I'll show the timing of it. And I usually call it storm timing. And I was like, I don't even want to call this a storm.
Yeah.
It's light rain that it happens to be in the cold air. So, that's
exactly.
But, there was that accident last night up in Jackson County where an ambulance, I guess they hit a patch of ice. An ambulance driver, I'm gathering from what I read, that, someone was being rushed to the hospital and, I guess the ambulance driver hit a patch of ice, and then I saw the RDOT put out that Jackson County had had some patchy ice on the roads, which was, confirmed to us what we suspected. Little Rock didn't get as cold last night. These clouds, as you've probably noticed, the clouds are still out there, and we can actually pull up radar or satellite and radar so you can see Clinton is getting some sunshine. Russellville's starting to see some sunshine. At least it looks like it from this perspective, and we can pull up an RDOT camera in just a minute. But, there's Mount Magazine. Let's see what they're seeing.
Yeah,
okay.
Fully sunny from Mount Magazine. But
Bring it here.
Take our Simmons camera, and that's not the case.
Yeah, look at that.
We are cloudy, but those clouds, they're the reason that a lot of us didn't see more of that refreeze. Like we talked about last night, there were going to be patchy spots regardless, especially in those bridges and overpasses, which we hit home last night. But at the same time, we could have seen more refreeze if we didn't have those clouds around, because the temperature would have really dropped. We would have been in the 20s this morning, and who knows? There just could have been a few more patchy ice spots on the road than there were. Not widespread, but still.
That said, I also want to make sure that we address this before and I'm not sure if you had this graphic in your show. If not, I'll pull it in.
Yeah.
But I think you do. It looks like yes. So in the morning, not all models show this, but there is some question as to, according to the graph here, visibility, we might see some areas of fog, perhaps dense fog. This would be a problem because we expect temperatures to be in the upper 20s, perhaps. Of course, we thought that last night. Clouds kept that from happening. These clouds are thinning out a little bit more now, so we might. I did go partly cloudy tonight. I could maybe go mostly clear. But fog in the morning, if we're that cold, and if it's that foggy, the question is how thick does it get?
Yeah.
Does it freeze? And freezing fog, if you think about it, sometimes when you have fog, if you'll notice when you're driving down the road, you still kind of have to use the windshield wiper because there's moisture with that fog. That moisture, just like freezing drizzle, can stick to bridges and overpasses. Yeah. And I know you're probably like, gosh, Joel, we've already kind of gone through this week,
Yeah.
If there's fog in the morning and if it's thick, if it's around long enough for it to stick, if it's cold enough, that can be that. I have seen times when freezing fog is notorious for sneaking up on you. It's very difficult to predict. And sometimes, honestly, whenever I say, if I predict it, it won't happen. If I don't predict it, it'll happen. It's just that kind of
those hard things.
It's extremely difficult. So if you see that it's really foggy in the morning, be careful on those bridges and overpasses.
Yeah, 100%. And this was a topic that we really discussed yesterday. We talked about not freezing fog, but we talked about the bridges and overpasses a decent amount. And there were people on social media that said that if you don't understand how bridges and overpasses work, engineering-wise, physics-wise, then you shouldn't have a driver's license. We're not going that far. There's a lot of us that...
Somebody said that?
Yeah. I was shocked by that, too. I was like, okay. a lot of us don't realize how many bridges and overpasses we actually have to go over to get to wherever we're traveling. Even if it's an everyday route, even if you're out to work or school, you don't think about it because it's not usually something.
They're short, little, small bridges.
Right.
Like I had one, I didn't realize even like I cross it every day and I just don't think about it. It's just a little ditch, but you know, it's a bridge.
Right. There's still air getting underneath, and that's everything that constitutes where we could see more ice form compared to the regular road where you have ground underneath. So it insulates it, especially now where the ground is not freezing. We're just entering winter. So we are not seeing that sort of cold ground that's around regular roads. So either way, that's something to keep in mind. So if you wake up tomorrow morning and you open your blinds and there's fog outside, maybe get your stuff together a little earlier, leave the house with extra time to get to work, just in case, especially if you know you're going over some of those really big bridges.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and even if it's patchy, if you see that there's fog, you know, a patchy area of fog, if it's near a bridge, just really take it slow. I know that's maybe being a little overly cautious, but, you know, if it's this thick and if it's really in the upper 20s, that's a problem. So we'll have to, that's something we'll talk about. I don't want to push it because, like, there's some signs that it doesn't show that. So, you know, I don't want to just keep pushing that. There is some chance also that we have some moisture in here Thursday. We can walk you through that as well.
Yeah, so Thursday we've got, sorry, I have short arms. Thursday, we're talking about another, actually I'm not, Thursday morning, there could be a little bit of moisture. This is one model. This is the HRRR, so it stands for High Resolution Rapid Refresh. There's a chance for some showers, maybe a stray rumble of thunder, depending on how much moisture, how much energy is around. We're not talking about severe weather, but it's mostly in southern Arkansas with this model's perspective. Now let's take a look at a different model. This one actually shows the temperatures with the future cast or forecast
there's your
track.
fog, by the way. And then there's clouds that move in the afternoon. So I went mostly cloudy for tomorrow, or at least partly cloudy.
Yeah, that tracks.
I think there
especially
might be
with
some
more
sunshine.
moving in.
There could be some sunshine that pops out in the mid-afternoon, but considering how much those clouds have been stubborn today, I don't know that I feel comfortable putting certainly not mostly sunny. I just can't do that.
100%. And we may have a light sprinkle or two tomorrow night, and then into Thursday morning really early. More of those showers we're seeing in parts of eastern, southern Arkansas, really areas that have that moisture. But it's going to be a hard question as to our temperatures look like they're going to be above freezing, so everyone's going to see cold rain, chilly rain with this, most likely for at least Wednesday night into Thursday morning.
And those clouds overnight, assuming they can keep us as mild as, which that shows us getting colder during the day on Thursday, but those clouds could keep us milder. And then there's that precip on Thursday, and you see on the northern very edge of that light rain, see there's little areas of pink and blue embedded in there. Could we get a couple of flurries out of it? You know what else I see here, Jenna?
Yeah.
Okay, when I do go back and forth here, I notice that some of those pinks and blues that we see are on ridges of the Ouachitas, because the Ouachitas run east and west, and there is a ridge that kind of runs through southern Scott County there, north of Mena. There's a ridge there. So I wonder if that's what we're looking at there is not so much on. I kind of wonder if some of that's driven by elevation.
I would agree with that, because if you also look at our temperature sites, the forecast temperatures as that is moving through, we're way above freezing. So we're not going to see flurries in Little Rock. We're not going to see mixed precip as far as wintry precip in Little Rock with a temperature of 39 degrees. We're going to see cold rain. But if you're at a high elevation in western and southwestern Arkansas, maybe you see some flurries, maybe some mixed precipitation, and that all depends, again, on your elevation. But the other question is going to be moisture, because you'll notice this isn't an event where we're talking about widespread rain. There's pockets here and there, but this system is going to be a system that's starved for moisture. So how much moisture it's actually able to take out of the atmosphere and then bring to the ground, it may have a better chance of doing that in southern Arkansas, where the moisture's a little higher as it comes in from the Gulf. And that's
so you're suggesting there might be a little bit of Virgo on the north end of that? Is that some dry?
That's what I could see.
That's a very good point. I can see that too. So I just, even when we say a cold rain on Thursday, some of you may not see a drop on Thursday.
Yes.
So it may end up being clouds and temperatures in the upper 30s, lower 40s. It's going to be kind of gloomy. I'm ready for some warmer weather. I did see 60s next week at one point, and I just want to fast forward. I don't know. I'm just not into the cold right now. I hate the summer. I hate the heat. I don't hate the summer. I hate the heat.
Yeah.
But right now, I could go for some 60s and 70s. A little side note there.
Well, it would be nice to have some outdoor weather. I feel like it always happens every year where you don't know the last day that you had some time to spend outside and it felt nice enough to be outside. And then once you get to the point where we're in the middle of, we just started meteorological winter yesterday, we're only going to get colder. And you start to think about,
this is not the time to start complaining about it, is it?
No, but at the same time, if you want to go and have, a sweet tea sitting on your porch or something like that, you're gonna have to bundle up the whole time you do that. You may as well have hot tea or hot cocoa or something like that, because we're only gonna see more days like this. But 60 next week possible, upper 50s more likely, which is a roller coaster that is Arkansas temperatures. So
let's also maybe touch on this weekend. We can pull up Pops here in a minute too. Oh, look at that.
I don't think we'll see.
It's probably a little excessive.
Might be overdone. You said Pops this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
well, we can do that briefly. Yeah. Okay, so Thursday's your best chance, 20%. Saturday and Sunday is kind of what I was looking at. And at one point yesterday, I had mostly sunny. My news director, by the way, Ernie, if you're watching right now, might have lied to you a little bit. Saturday now, kind of there. He asked specifically about Saturday, Ernie. And I was like, it looks dry, at least at this point. And then I come back here and I'm like, oh.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I said sprinkles at the 10:15 meeting.
Sprinkles Saturday?
Yeah,
it doesn't look like it's anything impactful. Obviously, I did not intentionally lie, but I did want to make that, and I may have to text him because he may not be watching, but there's Thursday.
Okay.
So
I'm not buying into this,
Friday,
so we're just going to zoom past.
Yeah. Okay, so then Saturday there. Okay, so Southeast Arkansas. Ernie, if you're watching, that's what it looks like there. I can't remember what in context you were asking about, but and then Sunday, this has it dry, but then GFS has Sunday with widespread light rain. So, Gurfus.
I'm trying. As this one zooms out, but
there's Sunday. So that would be a little bit more. And then look, there's just north of us, cold enough for snow up into Missouri. Missouri's had a pretty active winter so far.
Yeah, lots of snow in St. Louis. We've received lots of reports. I'm not sure. Juliana would know. She was telling us.
She's got family up there.
Yeah, at 11, she said her sister asked her if they could figure out a way to stop the snow, they would like that. Juliana was like, I would love that problem.
Yeah, well.
Must be nice heading into, the
Todd
holidays.
Todd would have loved that problem.
Yeah, but, with Christmas around, I mean, my parents are in the same situation. They just got another nice coating everywhere in Columbus.
Yeah.
My mom was texting me that she's decorating for Christmas around the house, just making sure, the tree's up and there's other things that she's doing. But if you look outside your window and it looks like that, that's so Christmassy. That's Christmassy. Awesome. We don't have that in Arkansas right now.
Yeah, I did have a friend in Indy. She sent me a Snapchat, and her dogs were in the Snapchat, but then she panned over to the window and zoomed in to show me the snow falling. I was like, that's so pretty, but I'm just not feeling that right now.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I can see both areas. I was also, walking outside with my coat and my boots, and I was thinking, this time last year, I was at the beach.
You were at the beach.
And now I'm wearing a coat and boots. It happens.
Yeah.
Life.
This is the time of year you need to plan a beach trip. I feel
no one's at the beach this time of year too. This is the local season. Even when it's super cold, what I found being a resident of Myrtle Beach, this is the best time to find shells because no one's out there. So if you like collecting shells and everything, I found so many cool ones. No one's out there. It's freezing. You got a coat on, but
when I was in Biloxi, that was you don't go out there to find shells because they're all man-made beaches.
Oh,
it's
sad.
the world's
I didn't
longest
know that.
man-made beach.
In Biloxi?
From 3 counties straight. It's the whole Mississippi coast is man-made. So
that's cool.
So
that's cool.
But there's no shell. It's not
oh, so things still don't wash up.
So if you have beach erosion, everything has to be restored like that. It's
So how often do they need their beach erosion done?
It's not terrible.
Or their beach renourishment?
Unless there's a hurricane, it's usually not. You don't get nor'easters, so it's not like you have to worry about that as much. But yeah.
Still, I didn't know that.
When you say going to find seashells, I forget, there's seashells on the beach.
Yeah.
Because they were not in Mississippi. It was just, all sand that was moved. But
that's
it's
such
pretty.
a fun part.
We don't swim down there, but,
Oh, you don't swim down there?
No.
Is that also because it's a human-made beach?
It partially, but the barrier islands and it being so close to the mouth of the Mississippi River, a lot of the sediment just makes it really dirty. And it's not exactly. But if you were to go, do you see those islands off the coast of Mississippi?
We'll go to satellite because I think I can move that around more, at least without going in.
Just a little lesson on Mississippi geography there.
Geography.
All of those barrier islands are all that water in the sound there between the islands of Mississippi is real stagnant. So there's just, it collects a lot. It's just brown. But if you were to go out to the barrier islands on the other side of Ship Island, those places, blue like Florida. So it's just kind of cool.
Interesting.
I've never
didn't
been
know
out to
that.
the islands, but yeah, it is a little bit. Actually, I did go out to Cat Island once, but on a fishing trip. But yeah, anyway.
But they look hard to get to.
Yeah.
So people don't live out here.
Here we are talking about coast life here.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm the same way. I'm like, yeah,
we
take
are
me to
thinking
the beach
of
right
warmer
now.
times.
But yeah, going back to Mississippi, look at that, or Arkansas.
Right.
38 degrees. These clouds, they may not clear out until right before sunset, and so we may not even get in the low 40s. But look at Russellville. It's already made it to 42 since the clouds have cleared out. So that little bit of sunlight can make a big difference.
Exactly. And you'll notice, too, the clouds aren't moving directly from west to east. They're moving kind of from, northeast to southwest.
It's almost like the back edge
northeast.
it's not like the clouds are moving out. They're just eroding away.
Yeah.
So it's I bet if you were to I'm kind of curious. I bet if I were to pull up a RDOT camera in Conway, you might see a spot where it's cloudy on one horizon and then clear on the other.
Probably.
Kind of curious about that.
Yeah, we'll see. Today was one of those tricky forecasts with the clouds. And like we said when we started, we were happy to see the clouds because it did mean that we had, less of a chance for refreeze because we didn't get that cold. But is it RDOT Fox?
Yeah, and I don't know if I have it labeled correctly, but if you do, you can just type in RDOT maybe, and change the name of it to Menifee, or you can maybe just take it off. But try the first one there because that's the one I usually use. Okay, and enter the builder and just take Jacksonville off so that it doesn't confuse people. But there you go. Just turn off there you go.
All
so
right.
That's at Menifee, and you can see in the foreground there are clouds, but off in the distance the sun is shining. So it's maybe not a clear defined line there, but it's nice to see some sunshine there.
Yeah, it's popping out.
Yeah,
it's trying its hardest.
It was supposed to do that overnight last night, but
yeah, but it's a good thing that it didn't. And
yeah, had it done that, it would have been colder. There would have been more risk for ice.
Mm-hmm.
So
not
works
horrible.
Out. It just also made today a little colder, a little bit gloomier.
Yeah, and it is harder to see.
You can just close out of that. I'll add it back later. Okay, but
I don't know why that confused me for a second.
Fine.
It happens. Another thing we could talk about. I messed up the window.
It's fine.
Another thing we could talk about today is...
You just hover over that here. If you just hover over that right there, the middle one, right there.
Yeah.
And then
oh, perfect.
That's how I do that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Technical things, of course. Another thing we could talk about today is that it is now meteorological winter.
Yeah.
That started yesterday. So... a little wild. I mean, I know that you talked about it yesterday. We had so much going on yesterday. We didn't get to talk about all the big things that happened on December 1st, meteorological winter. So meteorological seasons, they're 3-month increments. So this will end at the last day of February, whatever day that ends up being, whether it's a leap year or regular year for February. And that's a 3-month period for record keeping and due to climate, and it's just kind of easier using historical data. But a lot of people think of, well, you're saying winter began, but the solstice is still coming up.
Right.
We all think of the solstice as the start of winter, and that's also the astronomical start of the winter. And this year, that falls on December 21st.
Right.
So that's still coming up. But technically, meteorologically speaking, welcome to winter.
You know what's crazy, too, to think about is, like, it feels like winter just started, obviously, but winter solstice gets here, and the days start getting longer again.
Yeah.
It feels like the time just changed, and then pretty soon the days will start getting a little longer. They're not going to get long. You're not going to notice a lot of difference, especially not until we change the time again. But it feels like it's the winter solstice. So I guess it's, there's that lag. So you don't start getting the coldest months until about a month or two after the solstice. But
yeah.
Technically, it is kind of nice that the days start getting longer again.
Well, it is nice. And that's exactly like, the winter solstice is... Oh, we're going through all the planets. The winter solstice is the shortest day by daylight hours of the year. There's still obviously 24 hours in a day, but of those 24 hours, they're broken down darkness, daylight. Daylight, that's the shortest day of the year for daylight. And then we get 10 hours and 7 minutes this year on the winter solstice in Little Rock. From there, though, like you said, we only start gaining daylight hours from time and darkness. So by the end of January, we'll be back to 5:30 sunsets, and then getting back to 6 o'clock sunsets in February or March. I can't. I'll have to look at that. But as we get into spring, you'll start to see the sun come up a little later or set a little later. And I feel like that helps everyone, too, especially when you're leaving work and it's already dark. It's a wild feeling.
Yeah, it's kind of weird whenever, even my first newscast at 5:30, it's dark.
Yeah.
And then by the time I go to dinner break, it's dark. And a lot of you, when you get off work at 5, it's dark. You're driving home from work. There's not a lot of useful sunlight.
Yeah, truly. I mean, unless you go outside for like lunch break.
Right.
Because a lot of us too drive to work before the sun comes up. If the sun's coming up at around 7:30 and you are driving to work at 7, you're in your office building for the entire time that the sun is up.
And that's where that seasonal depression comes in. And I do think it's important. And we talked about this in our winter weather special about seasonal affective disorder and whatnot. But it helps to go outside, and even if it's cold, even if it's cloudy, obviously you wouldn't want to do it so much if it's raining, but just try to go out and get a little bit of sunlight. I think it can boost the mood. It
really does.
And even on a sunny days, and there's days I'm just bad about, I don't feel like going outside. I'll just sit around and, it's a Saturday. I don't want to go out. I just want to enjoy being inside and watch TV, but it's still kind of, eventually I'm like, I need some sunlight. I need
it wears on you, or it's, like the kids say on TikTok, go outside and touch some grass.
Touch some grass.
I mean, usually that's when something is going awry and you're reacting too poorly to it. Go touch grass, but still, it helps. People tell you to do that because getting back in nature, I feel like it just helps all of your. I wouldn't say it helps your problems, but you might see things from a different angle or just de-stress a little easier.
I also think this is the best time to go hiking in Arkansas because if you're going in August or September,
it's hot.
It's hot and the bugs.
So
you don't have to deal with that. You don't have to worry about snakes as much. I have seen snakes in January though, but that was,
Good.
That was a very mild January.
Good.
But yeah, I mean, it is a good time to do that. I feel like as long as it's not snowing and, or maybe it is snowing and you want to get out and,
maybe you do like walking around in the snow. There are people that like taking a snow hike or using the cross-country skis to get around and just kind of witness everything. And it is so quiet to be outside when everything's covered in snow. So I love that feeling. Something else to talk about that was yesterday, but we didn't get to talk about because of, the winter weather.
Where you're going with this.
Hurricane season is over for 2025. That ended yesterday. So hurricane season runs from June 1st through November 30th. That means 2025, we had overall, let's see the numbers, 13 named storms, 5 hurricanes, 4 major hurricanes. Of those 4 major hurricanes, 3 of those were Category 5 hurricanes. That's as strong as it gets on the Saffir-Simpson scales.
You're right. There was,
Wild.
Yeah, when you really look at it number-wise, wow, like, you had those big storms, but then only one of those made landfall.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Which is great, but at the same time, this is a year where you're seeing a lot of people talk about this is a great year for the U.S. because we didn't receive a landfalling hurricane in the continental U.S. this year. The first time since 2015. The only thing with that is, though, that makes it seem like we didn't have any impacts from hurricane season this year. And the truth is we did.
We did.
We had first Tropical Storm Barry, which made landfall June 29th in Mexico. I just wrote a web on it.
Okay.
So that helps. It made landfall at the end of June in Mexico. It dissipated really quickly over the mountains of Mexico, added moisture to the atmosphere, and caused a catastrophic situation in central Texas.
Yeah, it interacted with the stationary boundary down there, and it just, not a lot of people made that connection that it was it was related to the tropics, but what happened there at Camp Mystic back on the 4th of July was technically due to the remnants of Barry. So there were impacts from the tropics there.
Exactly. There were impacts from Tropical Storm Barry, even though it didn't make landfall in the U.S. even. But then we also had Tropical Storm Chantal, which made landfall in the U.S., and I'll pull up the graphic that shows all of our storms. Tropical Storm Chantal, I covered this. It made landfall in Georgetown County, South Carolina, the morning of July 6th, so very close to everything that was occurring in central Texas, too. And it didn't do too much damage or cause too much flooding in South Carolina, but then it went and sat over North Carolina and Virginia, and it caused more really damaging flooding. So those two systems did impact the U.S. They weren't hurricanes. We did have one landfalling named storm, and that was Tropical Storm, and it was a weak tropical storm at that. Chantal. But still something to mention, and we got lucky this year. We would have had Imelda make landfall if it wasn't for the Fujiwara effect.
I forgot about that. That was it? Which storm was that was so close to it?
Umberto pulled it out to sea, because otherwise Imelda would have made landfall.
Look
this
at
would
that
not
right
have been.
turn it made right before it kind of moved towards South Carolina. And then you had Aaron, though, that was so close to North Carolina that there was some overwash. It churned up it was a very big storm, size-wise and intensity, but a lot of that, just the volume of water that it shoved out toward the Outer Banks, caused some beach erosion and flooding there on the Outer Banks. So.
Exactly, and it lined up with a king tide. So with the highest high tide, you also had North Carolina and Virginia saw some flooding, some beach erosion with that. And then parts of Massachusetts also saw tropical storm force winds from Aaron as well. Yeah. So we had impacts. They could have been worse.
Could have been a lot worse.
But for some areas, that was a catastrophic thing, like those in Central Texas. So something to think about the next time you see one of those articles that say, like, the U.S. got lucky this year. We did, but did we? It's still impactful.
There were impacts, yeah. We can't say that it was completely quiet. We're getting very close to the end of our show here. I want to remind you, of course, KARK 4 News. We will be talking, or Todd will be on, and we'll be talking about chance of some light precip there on Thursday, as well as this weekend's rain chances, very low rain chances at this point. And, of course, I'll be on at 5:30 and 6:30 on Fox 16, so be sure to tune in and join us there.
We'll see you then.
See ya.